Hey everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in to one of EPARTRADE's Race Industry Now Tech webinars. If you're a part of the racing industry or you're just passionate about racing tech, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode.
Welcome to Race Industry Now, the weekly webinar series from EPARTRADE, presented to you by ARP, Performance Plus Global Logistics, Feria Racing Components, Peak, Fifth Third Bank Motorsport, Quarter, and CTEC Manufacturing. I am Francisque Savignan, the founder and CEO of EPARTRADE, the racing industry, every minute, every day. This is episode 556, and we're going to be talking AI and autonomy. With me this morning, Judy Kin, the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and a wonderful host, Mr. Brad Gillie. Judy?
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We're super happy to have on Eddie today. We're touching a topic that we've never done before, so we hope you enjoy it. And Brad, on to you.
Thank you very much, Francis. Thank you very much, Judy. This is truly going to be a fun one, and I can't wait to get Eddie on because his enthusiasm for what we're talking about is just unmatched. It is going to be awesome. So, Francis, Judy, we'll see you after a great education and a whole lot of fun coming up here. Today's webinar topic, Motorsports Legacy in the Age of AI and Autonomy, featuring Eddie Bernardon, the Chief Racing Officer. And Eddie, help, I didn't even ask you this. Is it AIPEX or APEX? How do you pronounce the company name?
We pronounce it APEX, just like the Apex.
Okay. So he's a CRO at AIPEX Racing and a consultant in vehicle and motorsport technology. Before we get started, if you're viewing with us live, please, if you have a question, type it into the chat. I have a feeling you're going to have some. This is going to be a lot of fun. But we also want to talk about what you're going to talk about. And as we go through the presentation, Eddie has some slides to show us, some videos and different things along the way. And we're just going to kind of, weave in and out of it naturally and have a good time talking about it. So welcome, and we're glad you're here.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, this would be great. So just give us a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about, because right now we hear so much about AI, and hey, for some people, they're all in. For other people, that's not for me. But for the motorsports world, there are a lot of really cool things happening right now in development of a lot of different things between AI and autonomy.
Well, yeah, and I think that the one thing we got to remember is that motorsports has this long legacy to be the proving ground for innovation. It's for a long time, it's shaped the cars that we all drive. You can go back to that rearview mirror on Ray Haroon's 1911 winner in the 500, seatbelts, disc brakes, radial tires, on and on and on. All of those benefited are the cars we drive today from what's happened in motorsports and really the competition that drives that. But now we're entering into this age of AI and autonomous vehicles, and certainly that involves self-driving cars and ADAS and all that, but AI touches design, manufacturing, maintenance, diagnostics, in-car experience, even the management of batteries and EVs. So in this webinar, Motorsports Legacy in the Age of AI and Autonomy, what I want to try and do is explain how AI and autonomous race cars can help continue this legacy of motorsports and really shape the future of transportation, just like it's done for the last 100 years, even though it's in the age of AI and autonomy.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, like as a kid, watching cartoons and things like that and thinking, wow, the future is going to look like this and we'll have self-driving cars. It seemed really cool. As an adult, it's like, well, wait a second. I don't know if I really want this, but the way the technology is coming in, and we'll talk a lot more, or we will talk more than just autonomy, but how things can help us and what we're doing and all of that. And this does involve racing. This involves a lot of different things. So, Eddie, if you want to get the presentation started, we'll just sort of go through that and along the way, kind of weave in and out of things and ask some questions and have a lot of fun explaining this. This is, again, this is a really amazing topic.
Sounds perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with a quick little video here and sort of start to give you a little feel about the excitement that you can at least generate with these autonomous cars.
All right, team. This is the moment we've been striving for.
Yeah.
Prepare AV1 for the first autonomous test.
Network. Track network active. LiDARs Data online.
Drive by wire.
Armed. Chase card. Copy that. Pulling out now.
AIPEX is developing the world's most advanced autonomous race cars. Powered by AI drivers, inspired by the human racing spirit. The future of racing is coming, faster than you think.
I like the way I like the way the human powered car moves over and you see the autonomous car. You know, I am curious because I've seen a little bit of this in action as I was talking with you before. Texas Motor Speedway is my home track. A few years ago, I was there, and there were a bunch of students and engineers, and they had a handful of open wheel cars, like Indy style cars, that they were really developing for some type of autonomous racing, some type of display or things like that. We even heard that at one point maybe there was going to be a series or things like that. So can you tell us where we are today with that, Eddie?
Yeah, there's you're referring to probably the Indy Autonomous Challenge, and there's a couple of these leagues right now. The Indy Autonomous Challenge. There's also the A2RL, which is the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, and they both have put on some racing events. They're primarily student-based. And the whole idea was to bring people out of universities and start to apply autonomous technology, the sensors, the software, and all that. And it's come a long way. But there's still a bit that needs to be done. But that's really where it started. We were one of the first professional teams to participate in these events. The A2RL last year in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marine, actually the same track where they race Formula One. And as a professional team, we're probably looking at this in a different way, more like a conventional motorsports team would probably do it.
That's fascinating. So what exactly is autonomous racing? I mean, is it just racing without drivers, or what? Yeah, I don't want to oversimplify it. So what can you tell us?
Well, that's usually the first question we always get is, so are they remote controlled or what's going on? But the idea really is to instead of having a human driver that's making all the decisions, instead of having the human driver that sees and feels the track, all of that is replaced with sensors, computers, and combining all those sensors together so that you can actually, first of all, just drive the car around the track like you would in qualifying. Say that's always the first goal. And then ultimately, of course, racecraft, which is the ability to understand the situation, start to make decisions on how to pass, have strategy from lap to lap, all that type of thing. So ultimately it would be to combine that. But I think there's something really important here to keep in mind is I truly believe that the other question everyone asks is, who really wants to watch a bunch of computers drive around a racetrack? Because racing is really about the driver, and I can't disagree with that. And I mean, you take series on Netflix like Drive to Survive, the excitement, the drama of the people. And in some ways, I think that can reflect on what autonomous racing can do, because each of these cars has their own personality. It's the personality of the people that program it. So just like in Drive to Survive, it's about the drivers, but it's also about the team principal, the engineers, everyone that's involved in it. And I'll tell you what, there's the drama and excitement that you have when you put one of these machines on the track is not that different than what you see on Drive to Survive. So there's certainly drama in there. I do think, though, and it's important to remember that I don't think autonomous racing will ever replace Formula One or IndyCar. But I think you could probably do some interesting things with autonomous race cars that could certainly support those types of events.
Yeah, that would be pretty fascinating. Yeah, you kind of answered my question. Like, can you program one of the cars to be like the black hat in the race, and the other car to, be the one who's a little kinder and wants to win on finesse and all of that? I mean, you talk about kind of giving them personality. I guess is the door wide open for something like that?
Well, absolutely. And not only that, but it's not like, hey, in this race I'm going to enter, we're going to be like Lewis Hamilton. And then the next race you might be like Max or Lando. You could have turn one be Lando and turns 3 and 4 be Max. or you could have a super max. So, I mean, that's where I think the excitement comes in. But I think we're a little bit away from that just yet, where ultimately you have to build up. Can you even qualify or go around a track as fast as a human race driver, even a middle of the pack human race driver, and then build upon that to eventually start to do things like we just talked about.
Yeah, and to your point, I don't know that we necessarily want to replace humans, and not that this would necessarily be a replacement, but an enhancement. But here's the other side of this as well, Eddie. You mentioned a lot of things that trickle down. I think to myself, I just got a brand new Forerunner, and things from, putting it in cruise control or keeping it in the lanes and different things like that. Those are the simple things that are human aids. But I think about the racing side of it. And okay, so AI is here. We're not going to change that, but what can we do to maximize it for us? If you're working on something and developing it full autonomous and all of those things, that's awesome. I look at that and say, we don't know what we do or don't like with it. I think it could actually be a pretty cool thing. If it's entertaining, if it's racing, it's going to be enjoyable. But what we learn from that, how much it could help what we're already doing today. We see a lot of different things like on the NASCAR side, that's the world where I live, with what they were calling the SMT data and things like that. How much the AI could actually be a driver aid or a team aid and things like that.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, Brad, I've actually prepared a few slides here, maybe take you through a little bit on what AIPEX is doing, and then show how that ultimately is going to impact, like I said, the cars that we drive.
Awesome.
And in
All right.
between there, impact motorsports, hopefully in a very positive way in between.
Yeah, this is fun. This is this is all new stuff. So yeah, if you want to share your screen with that, and looking forward to taking a look at that. And while you're doing that, I do want to remind anyone who's watching us live right now, again, if you have a question for Eddie, whatever it might be, please feel free to type it into the chat, because we want to make sure we're talking about and answering the things you want to know about. All right, we're starting to see your screen share, and we do see what's up there right now with the AIPEX logo.
All right, sounds good. So I'm going to start off and talk a little bit about AIPEX itself and some of the things that we're doing. And then review a little bit in a little bit more detail, give you some images about what this autonomous racing has been like in the past. And then based on our experience that we've had in autonomous racing, we're actually moving on from that, or at least we're doing a parallel path that's focused on autonomous race cars, not necessarily on racing, but racing is just a piece of what we're doing. And then finally, take a look at where this is headed in the future. And I think you're going to be excited at the very end. We've got an AI agent for racing that it's a video, but we're going to show a live interaction with an AI agent in racing that allows you to interact with it to understand racing data, telemetry, but also it's like the Martin Brundle. The AI, you're going to see an actual, now the interesting thing is when we do those AI agent demos, we never know what they're going to do, but you'll get a chance here to see what may be possible in the future from both a technical and an entertainment standpoint with AI agents. But in any case, AIPEX, like I said, is one of the first autonomous racing teams that's out there. And really, our main goal is to be a test bed for autonomous and AI technology that ultimately impacts the real world. But with motorsports, you always have to remember it's an entertainment business. But we're not here to compete with traditional motorsports. I think that's something to remember. Instead, what we really want to do is support traditional motorsports and enhance those events. Like the Ferrari Challenge race in an F1 race. Or this year I was at Carb Day at the Indianapolis 500. There's 2 hours of practice on Carb Day. I would say the stands are about 80% full. And then after lunch, they had the Oscar Mayer Wiener race. And the stands were completely full. Now, I think autonomous cars can do a lot more than wiener cars, but nonetheless, the idea of a technology base or something exciting with autonomous cars could do that. And most importantly, I think one of the things is that autonomous cars could ultimately do things that human drivers, you can't really do with a human in the track. So in any case, our focus is primarily on high-speed autonomy, AI agents, and really the use of simulation. We like to say sim to track and back. It's one thing to simulate, but you have to have that hardware and then bring it on back. And certainly, as any racing team, hospitality, media, and all that for our partners is really, really important. And as a result, we feel is a unique combination of racing people as well as AI and software developers, and we have really strong connections at the highest levels of motorsport. So we're combining that with the traditional expertise you might get in an AI company. And as an example here, Ryan James, he's our CEO, or you could call him team principal. He's a serial tech entrepreneur, but he also was the McLaren Pro-Am Trophy Series champion last year. Ollie Webb, he's a Le Mans champion, Indy Lights, Rallycross, WC, and he also was a stunt driver with Brad Pitt in the F1 movie. And finally, myself, I had long experience from a startup we had in composites and software for engineering with composites. And more recently, I was the VP of Motorsports at Siemens, where I did projects with the FIA, Formula One, Extreme E, things like that. So in any case, I think what we feel is unique is that combination of AI, the understanding of racing hardware, as well as strong guidance from people that understand racing. So, well, anyways, this here gives you a little bit of a feel for what autonomous racing is all about. You can see there on the right, those two images are actually from the A2RL race last year. So there was a fan zone, there's hospitality. It was over 10,000 people attended. So from an event standpoint, it was really great. However, the race cars themselves and the racing on the track, I think it's in its infancy and there's plenty of room for improvement. But certainly it's not because of the hardware and the software itself, because the series is based on this Super Formula, a Japanese car. It's like an F2, 550 horsepower, capable of close to 200 miles per hour. And the only modifications are the halo is taken off. There's some heating ducts in there. I guess you need some extra air in there to cool off the computers versus a human. But the cars are identical. The actual sensors and all the hardware, there's 7 cameras, 4 radars, 3 lidars. And so the difference is in the software. And that's what we were talking about before, right? Is it's a competition to program these cars and program the race strategy. So the car does take on a personality of the programmers. And you get a little bit of a mix here of could be, strategically, do you want to be aggressive? Do you want to hold back? That kind of thing.
So this is really like the way the car is driven by the AI. I mean, this car still has the suspension, it has brakes, it's using throttle, it's using the brakes, it's doing all of that stuff. It's not like the car is built different. It's just a different type of driver. Is that fair to say, with all the technology that's in it, from sensors to computers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you were to take this car, just remove the hardware stack, you could probably put, I mean, of course you'd have to put the steering wheel back and all that, but yes, it's identical to the actual car that's out there. And I mentioned the programmers and the personality. There's so many efforts in motorsports today, like Girls on Track with the FIA, things like that, to attract a more diverse, a younger crowd. And I'm proud to say that in autonomous racing, we don't need any programs like that, because naturally it attracts a different group of people that are interested in software, in cutting edge high tech, in robotics. So this emphasis on software draws in individuals that are not traditionally interested in motorsports, or even traditionally interested in self-driving cars. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't take long, especially when we have our evening events, just to kick back a little bit on the go-kart track. Every single one of them knows what a turn in, apex, and exit point is now. So not at first, but it's that mix of the two. So I think that's good for motorsports. We got to get this new generation interested in the sport.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And it's, you get people excited about cars. We all know what this addiction is. So to introduce it to more people. That's great.
Yeah. And you introduce them early, they'll stay with it throughout their entire careers. And we've seen very, good evidence of that. So that's autonomous racing. And like I said, it's in its infancy. It's going to have to grow. But, you're developing an event in parallel to developing the car. And there was another thing that was a little bit of a hindrance for us was is that we didn't have access to the super formula cars that much. There's a couple of months per year. So we decided to take matters into our own hands. And that's what you see here. So we took one of the McLarens, one of the Arturas that Ryan James races, and if you look on top, you'll see the sensor stack. That's the exact same sensor stack that is in the Super Formula car, but now it's on a McLaren. And so we can put this on track, and then what we can do with that is we can collect data and develop these digital twins, these models of the track of other cars that we can use to develop the simulations we need to develop these programs, these AI drivers. So that's what we started to do almost a year ago now, and we've really developed what we think are some of the most advanced simulations for autonomous cars. I do want to show on the right there, I mentioned that we're also a conventional professional team, so we have to attract sponsors because that's how we survive. And one of the things we've done with the McLaren is in the passenger seat, we can put our sponsors and their customers, and if you notice there's a screen that is in front of the passenger, and while they're going down the back straight at COTA at 175 miles per hour, about to go into the hairpin, they can, if they can look down and see LiDAR camera images. They can see their hardware at work. And, they come out of the car and I said, well, did you see the screen? They all nod, but I know on the first time out they haven't, because you got to pull down on that face mask just to get your head down sometimes, certainly on that back straight. So,
wow, that's a lot of trust. That's really cool and amazing technology.
Yeah. Well, let me, with that said, so here's what it looks like when it's on the track. In this case, what we've done is we also have a couple of Miatas that we've actually made fully autonomous, and I'm going to show you a little video of that on track here in a minute. But this is the Miata with the sensor stack, and you can see it's on track with a couple of McLarens. And the image on the right on the bottom is the actual camera image, and what you see on top is the LiDAR. So that is what and you can see there's sort of the correspondence between the two. So the data we have gathered from that, of course, will ultimately go into simulation. And I do want to emphasize again, and this is true with anything with AI, even like ChatGPT. It's a great tool, but you have to know how to use it. You have to guide it. And so for us, we feel it's very, very important to have guidance from, the top drivers, professional drivers, but also for our staff to be experienced in racing. So what you see on the upper left there is the car that Ryan drove to the championship last year in the trophy series. On the bottom, you can see there, proves that they were champion. He sits there with Ollie. On the upper right is the one of the cars that was used in the F1 movie that Brad and some other drivers that have helped us drove. And on the lower right, many of our people that direct programming, actually myself as well. I still race go-karts to this day, but we put as many as we can through Skip Barber, and there's on the F4. So there's nothing better than going 140 into a turn and understanding what it takes to outbrake and then still hit that apex. Because ultimately, if you can do it as a human, it makes it easier to understand what to make it do as an AI driver.
That makes sense, especially if you're talking to people who are software engineers and different things like that to understand what it takes, what they're programming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those two worlds don't usually collide. So
Yeah.
I guess we're good at making them collide. But that's probably true in any business that you have. You got to understand your customer. You got to understand, what it really takes to do it right. So the race car, the professionals, ourselves, it guides what we simulate, and ultimately you're on track. And really what we're shooting for a goal to try and get to, like we've had Ollie drive our autonomous Miatas on track, and we know what his time is, and we're trying to get within 5% of that time, which we feel might be a middle of the pack kind of speed. So first you have to accomplish that on sim. So I'm going to show you a sim race here where we had our autonomous driver drive against one of our pro drivers and also one of our other one of our programmers that's actually very good at esports. So I'm gonna play that now. So the one in the lead, we always start off with our autonomous driver in the lead. It won't last the whole lap, but and there you see the McLaren red and white there. That's a pro driver, and you can see he has some very good techniques. It doesn't take him long to get by, but we did manage to hold off our expert esports person. But this is, and we can run this for many, many hours, thousands and thousands of laps, and that's how we can enhance enhance both traditional control and also reinforcement learning. So that's pretty much what happens in simulation. Now, the key though is sim to track and back. That's what we like to say, sim to track and back. So you get all excited, say, hey, we can compete with the real drivers on sim. Let's go to the track. And the first time we took our Miata there, you can see the control stack on top, but this is a fully autonomous car. And we put it on the track. We had 3 days of track time in Navarra. And I'll be completely honest, we had 2 days of trying to figure out why it didn't work as well as in the simulation. And of course, there's noise, vibration, who knows what, all these things that were not modeled. That it took us a couple of days to actually finally get it going. And then I'm going to show you here, actually see it on track. So the red one is autonomous. The other one's a chase car. We're actually very cautious, right? We didn't make the McLaren autonomous because we felt that if we crashed the Miata, it's about the same cost as the radiator on the McLaren. But here you see it. This was our first time on the track, so we were a little bit cautious. We had straightaway speeds of probably between 60 and 70 miles per hour, which is not too bad. But the important thing is what we learned on the track and the ability of taking what the AI did in sim, what the AI was able to do on the track, and then take it back and improve that simulation. And that's the loop. And you go around and around, and you continue that loop until ultimately, like I said, we're hoping before the end of the year, but certainly early part of next year to hit that 5% mark compared to Ollie.
So I'm curious, Eddie. So, you talk about the stack on top and everything, and there's one portion of this of, okay, this is how the car gets around the track. This is how you hit the apex. This is where you brake. This is where you throttle. All of those different things. Are there other sensors on the car that are measuring, slip and different things like that? Like, are we at a point where you have it to where the car is understanding tire wear and different things like that? How does that work, or where are we today with that?
Well, that is an excellent question. And I'm actually going to take a step back from that because, as we all know, there's an optimal line around the track. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes you go offline for many reasons. And let's just keep it simple. It's just one car on the track. You might go offline because tire wear, might go offline because some gravel on their track. Who knows, right? Might have been a little bit too aggressive because the driver isn't perfect. So one of the things that we feel we've perfected is, I'm offline. How do I get back online as quickly as possible? And within that, it's almost like that's the thinking at a high level. And within that, yes, everything you said, you have to understand how tire slip, tire pressures, aero effects. I mean, it could be, in some ways you worry about it all, but you worry about it like a package. And you say, okay, I'm offline. I got to correct. Oh, okay. I put in a degree and a half of correction. Oh, last time I needed 2 degrees just to get the same thing. It's telling you. So it learns, I guess you could say, much like a human would learn, right? I mean, you don't go into crossing the wheel right into, lock right away. You learn how to gradually correct. And if you see some of these, see how it was driving initially, you'd say, yeah, that definitely driving like a beginner. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, so that's the driving side of things. And what I want to do next, I got a short video here on AI agents. And we're actually very excited about these. First of all, The main reason we started with them was to help ourselves understand the amount of data we're collecting to figure out how we could improve strategy, how we could improve the design of the software. Now, if you think about a Formula One car, in a 250 sensors, in a weekend, you collect a terabyte of data. We do not have 250 sensors. We've got quite a few. However, the sensors here are quite heavy. So you have cameras, LiDARs, megabytes and megabytes, gigabytes of data. How do you work your way through that? So what we did, we created a way to, I guess you could think of it as a database, if you want to think of that, of all the data, but then be able to conversationally work with that data. Hey, what happened on that last lap out? And then we have this video, you're going to see that conversation. I think an interesting thing is what we've uncovered since then is that this database can certainly allow you to have a conversation that's technical, but you could also have an entertainment conversation. Just like you see the F1 announcers or an IndyCar announcer talk about that little box that pops up, right, with the, showing changes in lap time. So what you're going to see in this video here is an AI agent working on the data that the car's collecting. Now, it just happens to be our autonomous race car that's doing the thing in sim, but it could be a real car or many real cars. So I'm going to show you that video. And here we go.
Hello, my name is Curtis Casados, and I'm the technical director here at AIPEX Racing. And I have the privilege today of showing the autonomous AI agent demo. Something really cool about this is that this is the same exact stack that runs on our physical cars as it does in the sim. All right, without further ado, let's jump in and I will get started on this demo. All right, now here we are in the dashboard. So as you can see on the left, we have our two avatars. We have Axe, our autonomous driver, on the top, and then Al, a very excited commentator, directly below him. Just right of that, we have our map of our track. In this case, it's Circuit de Navarra, and we have our car in pit lane. If I zoom in here, you'll see the little green car. He's sitting right here, and then below is just some various data plots. So let's get started with Axe. Axe, start the car.
Starting the car.
Axe, set the speed to 20 meters per second.
Setting speed to 20 meters per second.
So once we're out of this pit lane, we'll change the race line to something a little bit more aggressive. So now that we're out of pit lane here, Axe, change the race line to conservative.
Changing the race line to conservative.
As you can see, now he's on a different race line. So this is how we typically interact with our agent Axe to get the car going, get it started. We'll change things. The next piece of this demo is going to be our commentator Al. All right, welcome back. So we had Axe do a couple laps. Now we have some heat in our tires, and he's a bit more racy. So in just a second here, we'll have Al commentate on what's currently happening. You can see we're going to enter this back straight here in just a second, and I'll let Al take it from here.
Axe is on the back straight, threading the needle with the car gathering speed after the apex. The last lap delta is 0.4 slower, and the best delta matches it, so the pace just dipped off the mark.
So you can see Al is getting his live telemetry, so he knows where he's at on the track, and he knows what turn he's at. He's also aware of his tire temperatures. So let me give you a quick demo of how that looks. Hey Al, can you tell me about the tire temperatures really fast?
Tire temps are sitting in the high 60s, building nicely into the sweet spot for this GT3 machine. Pressures are around 1.72, edging toward that 1.8 target, so the car's waking up.
Hey Al, can you give me a breakdown of the tire pressures, please?
Pressures are hovering in the mid 1.73s right now, just a hair under the classic GT3 sweet spot of around 1.8. They've been creeping up steadily lap to lap, matching the rising carcass temps in the high 60s, so the platform looks stable and consistent.
Something else that we're really excited about with this agent is its ability to be flexible with various audiences. For example, it could be extremely technical, it could be more geared towards a younger audience. So I'll give you an example of that really fast. Hey Al, can you describe the last 3 laps as if I was a Gen Z audience?
Quick vibe check on the last 3 laps for Axe. Big glow up from a messy slow cruise to clean locked in lines, then a tiny dip. He went from crawling to cooking, snagging micro greens at turn 12 and the start finish, then lost a few tenths on the next tour.
Let's have Al give one more breakdown.
Axe is bang on turn 5, hustling through the mid-speed left with the car planted. The last lap delta is 4 tenths slower and best delta the same, so the pace has softened a touch.
Makes sense. He's going about the same speed. So that's about it. So yeah, we have this live telemetry coming in and these 2 agents able to talk about it, which is really exciting. Well, thank you again. Hope you enjoyed this demo.
Yeah, so Brad, as you can tell, you never know what Al's going to say. And it makes for, I mean, one time when we did the Gen Z thing, he said something so crazy, we're all laughing. He said, oh, let's have him do it again. We asked the same question. He said something completely different. So very unpredictable, just like the announcers are. And again, I don't think this would ever replace an announcer for an F1 race or an IndyCar race, but could be that 4th person or that 5th person. And I think this will be part of motorsports in the future.
It really is. And yeah, let's talk about the future, because we see what you're working on and all of that. Where do you see it going?
Well, I'll tell you what, let me, I'm going to pull up one last slide just to hit that very topic right there.
Okay.
And I think that I think the most important thing is exactly what we talked about before. Certainly it's autonomous racing is not going to replace other things, but it will complement, support events in traditional racing. And you asked a question earlier. Those cars that are used in the current series are really human based cars. Human-driven cars have been modified to be autonomous. And probably the right thing to do is let's look at it completely different. If we don't have to worry about the human, sort of like the difference between a fighter plane with an F-16 versus a drone, you can get a lot more performance if you don't have to worry about the human. And a lot of systems in there just to keep the human safe. And then you could start to do things that are not possible or really too risky for the human driver. The upside down Formula One car, I've been talking about it for forever. I don't know, if David Coulthard or whoever wants to be the first one on that. But maybe the autonomous driver could do that, or have extreme aerodynamics, active aero, active suspension. Maybe you could do a 10G turn or 12 if you can get the tires to handle it. So those are some examples. And I do want to mention on the lower right there, we are currently working on a project with a company called Avicar. And Avicar was actually started by a group called Chariot Pictures, which makes hip hop videos. So they know the entertainment business, and they decided, hey, what if you could remote control cars all over the world? And so they teamed up with MIT, and they came up with a low latency control. And what we're looking to do is some interesting events. Hopefully here we'll be able to announce them soon. What we're doing from the autonomy side is, due to latency, if you have latency of tenths of a second, 100-mile-an-hour race car, 200-mile can go really far in a tenth of a second. So there will be some autonomy in there. But in any case, I hope this maybe gives you a feel for where things are headed in the future. And again, the goal is maintaining the excitement and entertainment value of motorsports using all the tools available, but more importantly, continuing that legacy that motorsports has made the cars we drive better for the next 100 years.
Yeah, I like that a lot. A question from the chat. How do you see AI changing race strategy in real time?
I think, again, it's like another tool you have to use. And you could compare it to ChatGPT. If you let ChatGPT write your college admission statement, you're going to be in trouble. But if you know how to use it, if you can understand the data that's just come off the track faster, it just raises the competition to another level. Humans are pretty smart. They're very creative. All this can really do is act on the data that's already there. So it'll change it. You'll just have to act smarter with the new tools you have.
Yeah, again, the fascinating thing with this, I mean, truly in its infancy, but like you said, we're trying this on cars that we could pull all the equipment out of and someone could literally go drive it. But the evolution of this, if we're talking about a full autonomous racing series, an AI series and all of that, we could build the cars to be whatever they are. They could look like whatever we don't have to put a seat in there. We don't have to put a gas pedal. We don't have to do all of that. that sounds fascinating to me as well. And then look, the learning curve along the way, I always say like one of the best things that happens in racing is when a series changes the rules completely. And the notebook that crew chiefs and race strategists and engineers all have, a lot of that gets thrown out. And now we're learning new things again. And when we're learning new things, to be honest with you, mistakes happen. Part of the entertainment value of it is when we get to see things being pushed over the limits. And that's the one thing I'm really curious about seeing, how do we push this over the limits? And then how do we rein it in? That's all part of that sort of cat and mouse game that we're always searching for.
And, you could take this is what you just mentioned. You could apply that to every place where AI and robotics is being applied. But it's exciting though, because imagine, Brad, I challenge you, Brad. We're gonna, you can have one of these. You can program the personality on car 1. I'll program it on car 2, and let's go at it at the Yas Marina or the road course in Indianapolis or whatever it might be. And like I said, just like that question you just asked, it raises the entertainment to a new level. You're truly thinking about racing and all the details about how to take turns and strategy, when to do pit stops, what tires to use, how to change your racecraft from turn to turn, and may the best person win. I mean, that's the way it works. It's just like it's a new challenge. As always with racing, use the tools you have as best you can, and it's not cheating unless you get caught. So we all know that.
Or until they rewrite the rule book based on what you did, right?
Exactly.
But the other thing you talked about, like, and you'll have to help me out on the phrasing that you use, but basically from the from simulation to the track and back, these things. It's things we deal with in the real world. You start talking about aerodynamics, and we did things in the wind tunnel. We see them in real time. We do things with computational fluid dynamics, and all of it. Everything complements it. So the way you guys have to make your approach, let's try it here. Let's take it to the track. Let's take what we learned from the track. Let's bring it back. I mean, it's a circle that just keeps going in a really cool way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's almost as if you could program Max Verstappen's brain along with doing the aero on his car, it's a little bit like that. Although the brain you're programming here probably is not as creative as certainly the professional drivers are. But yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, interpreting the data, doing from simulation, proving it out on the track, and then, hey, taking what you learned and doing it again and again and again. No different than a long weekend at the track.
Yeah. Hey, chasing speed always. And that's what we do in racing. Eddie, thank you so much. Really enlightening. We appreciate you giving us this presentation and taking time with us.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. And I love the opportunity to explain to everybody what this was all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great session. Really enjoyed it. So this webinar has been recorded. It will be posted later through our platform, newsletter channel, and social media channels. Next webinar will be with Fleet Damper. So for more information and update, please visit EPARTRADE.com. Thank you once again, and goodbye.
Hey, we want to thank you for watching. Now, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell so you're always up to date with the latest racing technology, industry insights, and exclusive content from EPARTRADE. In racing, every second counts. This is EPARTRADE, the premier business-to-business platform for the performance and racing industry. We connect buyers and suppliers 24/7 worldwide. Racing never stops, neither do we. Discover cutting-edge products and services from around the globe, gaining insights from our live platform, daily newsletters, weekly webinar series, and our highly anticipated annual Race Industry Week. EPARTRADE.com. The racing industry, every minute, every day.
ARP, the ultimate fasteners for whatever you build. To get the best performance, always follow ARP's installation instructions included with the product. For the latest torque specs, go to ARPinstructions.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series. Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
Where will you find Farea Racing components? Circle Track, drag racing, and any top race shop. In every form of motorsports competition, our valves and valve train components deliver race-proven design and technology. And we've brought that same performance to our street applications as well. We're backed by 5 decades of experience, an extensive range of off-the-shelf components, and our custom valve department has the fastest turnaround times in the industry. Farea Racing components. Stand with us or race against us.
When it comes to pushing the limits of performance, the pros know there's no room for compromise. At Crowder Cams, we don't just engineer camshafts and valve train components, we redefine what power means. Since 1955, Crowder Cams has been the name trusted by racers, engine builders, and gearheads around the globe. Whether you're building a street machine, a dragster, or a track car, Crowder Cams provides the muscle you need to dominate. And with Crowder, victory is within your reach.
At SeaTech, we're on a mission to lead the storage industry through innovative custom-built solutions that meet every challenge head-on. Designed for versatility, whether in a commercial setting or at home, we create high-quality, durable products that stand the test of time. SeaTech, engineering and innovation.